The Laurentic was a passenger ship that was built in Belfast at the Harland Wolff shipyard for the White Star Line to compete along with other ships such as Titanic in the transatlantic passenger trade. Um, her route would have been from Liverpool to Montreal. She was in Montreal in 1914 when the First World War broke out, and she was commissioned as a troop passenger. Her final voyage was from Liverpool to Halifax, Nova Scotia, with a full shipment of gold bullion. There was 30 tons of gold bullion on board to pay for war rents. En route, there was four sick sailors. They pulled into Buncrana in Lough Swilly here, which was a major base for the British Army at the time, to drop off the sailors. En route back out to the Swilly, she hit two mines and went to the bottom. 354 men died on that day. They were from Britain, Ireland, Canada, Hong Kong, and South Africa, and various other places. At the time in 1917, Ireland was very divisive. The whole community in this region sort of came together, united around the tragedy, and the funeral service was presided over by two Church of Ireland ministers, two Presbyterian ministers, and two Catholic priests. So going back a few years ago, we were looking at all these connections between the sort of Donegal Derry region and Atlantic Canada, and we came across the story of the Laurentic and the fact that there was 21 Newfoundlanders that were on the Laurentic that died here. So from that point, we used the Laurentic commemoration as sort of an anchor to sort of cement these connections that we had and resurrect the commemoration. And then the first year that Ambassador Binns was up, he was a former ambassador, Canadian ambassador to the Republic of Ireland. In his speech at reception afterwards, he more or less said that wouldn't it be great if we could use this as a platform to create a better economic shared future for all. So working with the embassy, we decided to do an economic development conference called the Laurentic Conference, which would connect the cross-border region, the gateway region of Derry Donegal with Atlantic Canada. On the ethos that if we're going to build on this platform of reconciliation, it has to be reinforced with economic development and prosperity. Hence, the overarching theme of the conference is remembrance, reconciliation, and prosperity.
Well, the Ulster Canada Initiative, who are running this, have undertaken a very powerful initiative, particularly in this part of the world where the themes of remembrance, reconciliation, and prosperity are so important. We are very much in the prosperity stage of this. We have so much in common culturally, socially. Our tourism industries can benefit enormously from it. We have a link now between Newfoundland and Ireland. Our maritime industries can benefit enormously from this, and our other local businesses will do enormously out of the spin-offs from the tourism initiatives, which I expect to come out of this, and the maritime benefits to come out of this.
The connections between Derry, Londonderry, Donegal, the involvement of the both councils, and the general cooperative work that's been done in the whole northwest reflects very well on where we are. I think it's great that you emphasise the international dimension, and I noticed at the table where all the flags were represented, the EU flag and the Canadian flag, and I really think this is what makes a region strong, is when we look beyond just the region and see the global impact that we can have by working and cooperating together.
To collaborate and cooperate with Newfoundland for ocean energy technology and development. And one of the best models that we've seen so far is the Oceans Advanced model of 50 clusters of companies and industries in Newfoundland operating to advance ocean technology in Newfoundland and Labrador itself. We would like to try and mimic that basically cluster and an initiative here in the Northwest, and working together with Donegal County Council, Derry City Council and Strabane District Council, LYT would be happy to be involved in such an initiative and make that collaboration and cooperation a reality and create an Advanced Northwest initiative such as the one we have in Oceans Advanced in Newfoundland.
The marine transportation industry offers excellent opportunities for individuals in terms of employment and income, but it also offers an enormous contribution to the economy. In Newfoundland, it costs approximately $32,000 to train a mariner. That mariner will return to the province in economic terms approximately 6 to 8 million based on a 30-year career. So the economic impact is enormous. The social impact is great because they get to live at home no matter where they work in the world, and they contribute to their communities, the community organizations, the economy in the local communities. So the industry does make an enormous economic contribution.
I thought it would be very boring and that I'd be sitting, just trying to listen or falling asleep, but I actually found it really interesting because I never actually knew a lot about it. Well, I thought it was a great experience. I've never been to a conference before, and I think it's a great experience. I came here not knowing about jobs within the marine world, and it's certainly something I consider. I mean, you're only working 6 months a year, and then you're off the other 6 months, so I make most other people who work most days of the week jealous. Well, we were talking about having the email addresses of people over in Canada, and I'd like to maybe have a pen pal to email, and maybe we could get something out of that.
I think if we want to facilitate contact between small companies in Newfoundland and in Donegal, a couple of things could be done. We could put in place a formal agreement between the likes of Donegal County Council and the local enterprise office with a similar organisation in Newfoundland. And historically we would have had contact there with the Newfoundland Economic Development Agency. Also we could put informal structure in place where Newfoundland companies could contact us directly through Donegal County Council and the local enterprise office through our website. And also conferences like this here today, the Laurenti Conference, allows an opportunity for businesses or business contacts to be developed between the two locations, and by us in the local enterprise office in Donegal feeding that information out to small companies in Donegal, I think we can build on that. And I think as well by sharing the opportunities, particularly in relation to the marine and the marine resources between the two regions, I think if there's an opportunity there for business, I think most businesses will show an interest, and I think that those are a couple of ways I would see how we could do that.
Certainly, I think there are obviously very, very strong connections between Atlantic Canada and Ireland. That's very apparent. And I think what has struck me is the willingness for collaboration and partnership between the various regions. And when we consider historically the connections in more recent history, the Battle of the Atlantic, which was one of the longest campaigns of the Second World War, the port of Derry was one of the very, very significant ports in that battle, where a lot of ships, the Allied shipping, would have come in there to be stationed for periods of time. And the Canadian Navy was one of the largest navies that was involved in that. So I think those connections, those historical connections, are obviously of interest to people that are related to those that have served in the Canadian Navy and perhaps were in Derry during the Second World War. And that just brings another strand, I think, of potential and cooperation to what we're trying to do. We're talking about an open door here, and people are wanting to walk through that open door and cooperate and collaborate in any way we can, using the past and using the present opportunities as well.
Well, certainly with the amount of work that is going on in the area and being a coastal site, I have no doubt that we'll be able to harness some of the developments that take place. I mean, Fort Dunree is a tourist amenity, it's a heritage amenity. It can benefit from anything that's developed around the coast or around the coastal waters, and that has to be good for all of us, because if it's industry or whatever that comes in, it's going to bring with it more tourism and enhance the product we already have. At the tail end of the question, you mentioned the RNLI and the lifeboat service, and once again, the RNLI is strung right around the coast here. In Ireland, we operate 45 coastal stations and a couple of inland stations. We're providing rescue services right out to 100 miles out to sea. And as more and more people come on the sea and more business gets developed in and around our oceans, there are more and more people are out there, and the potential for difficulties and problems, and consequent is a very competent rescue service, which the RNLI is, needs to be available there and needs to be able to react at a moment's notice. So yes, it's all going to benefit those type of organisations.
Brilliant.